welcome to Patty's Aquatics.
Welcome to Patty's Aquatics. My name is Adam and welcome to the fish room. So today what I want to do is kind of give you guys a bit of an update on my 75-gallon tank here that I have my Fahaka puffer, and I put all those kribensis cichlids in. And I want to give a little update on the plants. Now you might be thinking, where the heck are all the fish? That's because they are in their nighttime slumber. I turned their light on just recently early. Now, if you remember correctly, I kept the sand area here because that was an area where where my Fahaka usually would lay down and sleep at night and rest. Well, where is he? I just turned the lights on. That's because his nice little sleeping spot is back here, back behind the log, in the gravel. That's his sleeping spot now, and where he decides to hang out amongst his little buddies here, these kribensis, which have been doing awesome as well. But them too, like I said, I legit turned the lights on 5 minutes ago, and it's currently 6 a.m. in the morning where I'm filming this, and typically the lights don't go on until noon, about 6 more hours from now. So they got woken up from their sleep, so they're probably not happy. But we'll get them out in a little bit. First, I want to talk about the tank itself. It's doing great. I'm absolutely loving this tank. I had so many issues with this tank over the last few years with algae, with cyanobacteria, plants not growing, just so much frustration and so much just headaches basically with this tank. I finally have a vision, and it's finally starting to come through, and like I said, so much of it has to do with getting rid of sand for the most part, getting rid of the dirt, and going back to the basics with gravel. And these two big swords back here are just going to be the big backbone to this tank. Now, they may look a little thinner than when you've seen them last if you're following my channel. Now, the reason for that is anytime I transplant a sword and put it somewhere else within the same tank or a different tank, the leaves start to die off. Okay, and then they start to die off, and it winds up breaking off little pieces of dead stuff in it with organic matter from those leaves, and it goes all over the tank and gets stuck all over the intake. So what I did is I trimmed them down, and this is typically what I do. I'll trim all the ones that are dying off and cut them down near the stalk, and then just let it, because then you'll see I have new growth in this one starting to come up. So there is new growth coming through it, so it will grow back in the matter of months and be big and full again. I did the same with this one back here, trimmed a few of them off that were dead and decaying and dying off. So I'm hoping within the next few months this will be, by summertime, this will be nice and full again. Another side note too, my crypts are coming back slowly but surely. I've got the one there, and I've got a few over here that are starting to grow, and like I said, they're slow, but they're coming. And then I have this little sword here. I don't remember which one that was anymore, but it's putrid. It still doesn't look the greatest, to be honest with you. I had such issues. It's been in my tank for a couple of years now, and it's barely grown. I didn't trim a lot of the old leaves off of this one, but there is some new growth in the middle, and I put a bunch of root tabs underneath there. By the way, I'm using Aquarium Co Op's new root tabs, the ones that don't float, which I absolutely love. I'll put a link in the description for that. But yeah, I absolutely love those root tabs. So I put a bunch of them underneath there. So we're going to see if I can bring this one back to life. And then the setup itself has been doing great. Absolutely love it. And like I said, the fish have been getting along great. Let's see if we can get Butthead out here. Usually I'll come down here and I'll be like, oh my gosh, where is he? He didn't like jump out of the tank somehow. Then all of a sudden I come close and he comes raging out of there because then he wants food. But like I said, I woke him up a little early, so he's probably being a little bit of a butthead, not wanting to get up. Anyway, but these guys too, these guys are doing great. When I feed the tank, they all come out and swarm out. They're everywhere. Not one of them has died. They've been taken out. I know there were some people in the comments originally that had said that this was going to be a complete failure, that he's going to just eat them all and move all the rocks away and just destroy it all. And you know, I can't say that that's never going to happen. It's anything can happen with this Fahaka puffer, but he doesn't seem to really mind them at all in here. I'll be feeding him, and they'll hang out all underneath him. He doesn't care, and I absolutely love that. And I think the big thing is I got enough hiding places in here for them to kind of get away too if he decides to get a little frisky. And that's why I put all these rock piles in here. Now there is that original pair that I have in here, and they've been hanging out down in this hole and been acting like they've been breeding. Now we'll see if anything actually comes of it. And then they spread all out too. Got a couple that hang under that sponge filter. I've got little crevices under those rocks where they'll hang out with. Some will hang back out in the plants. Another couple will hang out underneath that filter. I don't know if they'll do it while he's sitting there, but yeah, things have been going great with this tank. I wish they would all come out so you guys could see really just how great they are. I can put some overview video of it as well, since they're deciding to be stubborn and not wanting to come out for me live while I'm filming this. But yeah, like I said, this was one of those things where I've always was trying to find some kind of a tank mate for my Fahaka puffer. I know they're more of a lonely fish unless you get a huge tank. Now this is not a huge tank, and it's really confined to the fact that you really have to be mindful of what you're putting in here, because there is no guarantee that they will survive. And you know, a lot of that can come down to the actual temperament of the fish too. You know, some fish might be just passive and don't really care, where others will just kill anything in sight. And I think that's got a lot to do with everything when it comes to this. I think my guy is kind of in the middle somewhere. Like, he's completely fine if other fish are in his area, I think, as long as they don't bug him. But then he might get a little stubborn sometimes. He's starting to move around back here. Maybe he'll come out. But yeah, so I've experimented in the past. I've had, when I first grew this guy up, he was in this tank. He's been in this tank his entire time. And I grew him from a community tank, basically. And there was all kinds of swordtails and guppies and things along that nature in there. And he lived within them very fine until he started to get a little bigger. And then I started to notice some started to go missing. I always have swordtails in there, and the pregnant swordtails would all of a sudden disappear. So I started, at that point I knew I had to start taking some of those fish out of there. Now he could survive with some guppies all the time. They would always hide though, and I didn't really do much with them. They were more as cleanup crew. Then I kind of ventured a little bit more, and I tried a angelfish as one that I had grown out, bred from the pair I used to have, and grew it out, and decided I would try to put it in here and see if I could get these guys to get along. And it was for 2 weeks they were completely fine. Angelfish would eat right by my puffer and everything seemed fine, but then all of a sudden he just disappeared. Came down here, there was no sign of an angelfish anymore. So obviously we know that experiment did not work. So I wanted to try something else, and when I had these guys and I wanted to move the tanks, I thought, oh my gosh, these guys are so fast. Like, I can barely catch them with a net. How's this Fahaka gonna get them? So I started by taking a couple of them out and putting them in here, and those first 2 or 3 I put in here lived in this tank for, I don't know, it was probably close to a month with no issues. So that's when I decided that it was time to give it a try and really throw a bunch of these guys in here. And that's what I did. I took my whole community of kribensis cichlids and threw them in here with my Fahaka puffer. But like I said, I made sure I had this rock pile here, and gave them cover and gave them places to hide, because that was essential. I couldn't just throw them in here in an empty tank and expect them to be okay, because one, they'd be stressed, but two, there'd be no cover for them to hide in case my Fahaka puffer decided to be a butthead. So anyway, he's still hiding. Apparently he wants to be stubborn today and not come out. But like I said, I'll put some video footage over all this of these guys. But things are going great. Absolutely love this. I hope it continues to go, and I'll keep you guys updated in the future with this tank, especially once these plants grow in more. And maybe these guys will start breeding in here. Like I said, that kribensis cichlid, the kribensis pair I have in here, they definitely have been showing some breeding colors, so it is entirely possible. Will they survive? I don't know. With all these other kribensis in here, they might just eat them. All the other times in my other tank, they would take their fry and like kind of bring them around the tank. I don't know. I had seen some sand kind of pocketed out of here, and it was, if you can tell, it's on the wood. It was kind of on the plants. So I'm assuming they were taking some sand from there and bringing it down into their little area in the rocks here for breeding. That was my guess, because that popped up all of a sudden after a couple weeks. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this footage of basically video over, because my fish decided not to come out and be cooperative today. But anyway, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'd greatly appreciate it, and I hope to see you again next time here at Patty's Aquatics.